Hi, I'm Teresa Matthews, the founder of Three Dimensional Health, a unique sustainable weight management and vibrant wellness coaching service. Thank you for watching this video. If you're tuning in because you have a particular interest in weight loss and weight management, this topic might be of particular interest to you. Now, it's a beautiful day here in Florida. I hope you don't mind that I'm filming this outside. There's plenty of people out blowing their lawns and so forth, and I hope you won't find the noise annoying. It's just so pretty. I just had to come outside. So, moving on, calories. The first question I get from clients is, why doesn't my program focus on calories? Some people have used counting calories very successfully and others have not. And they want to know if they should stop, and you might want to know, should you stop? So let's talk about it. Here's something that's, I think, pretty interesting, and I think it's helpful to understand it. The calories in a single food item can vary depending upon the way it's prepared. And I'm not talking about adding olive oils and butters and things that can change the calorie count. I'm talking about that item all by itself. But before we talk about preparation, let's talk about what a calorie is and what it isn't. The simplest definition, it's not a very simple definition, is that a calorie is the amount of energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade. Well, we don't even use grams and Celsius in the US, so right there, it's a complicated definition for us Americans. So this original technique was developed in the 1800s, so it's not even new technology. And originally it wasn't even used for food. It was used for measuring other types of energy. But eventually, around the 1890s, they think, they started putting food into this experiment to see how much energy it would take to change the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade. So the item is put into an airtight glass flask, and that's surrounded by water. That item is burned, and then they look again to see how much it takes to change 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade. That's it. There is no direct correlation to human physiology, no direct correlation to weight management and weight loss. It was never developed in recognition of human physiology. It was developed for, other laboratory measurements for other items. So a calorie is a rather early, crude method for measuring the energy in our food and trying to figure out how much we need to eat to stay alive and how much is too much to eat, right? Okay, so moving forward, after many, many experiments, scientists and nutritionists accepted a convention because the studies seem to have almost the same result. So they accepted this convention that a gram of carbohydrate is typically about 4 calories. A gram of protein is typically about 4 calories. And a gram of fat is typically, I'm going to count my fingers here, 9 calories. Regardless of which carbohydrate or protein or fat, and there are subtle nuances, that's the convention that's used, and that's how they figure out the calories that are on a menu item or on a food label and so forth. It's a general approximation using an old technology from the 1890s that was never developed in the first place for in recognition of human physiology. Okay, so now let's get back to that carrot. There are 3 basic ways, there's probably more, but there's 3 basic ways one could eat a carrot. You could eat it raw. You could, again, we're talking about one cup of chopped up carrot is about 50 calories. So you could eat that raw. Now, let's say one person listened to their mom and they chew their food up really, really well, and they macerate it, and they practically liquefy it, and then they swallow it. And another person did not. They hardly chew it. They gulp it down in big chunks. And it doesn't, take much to imagine the amount of calories that's available to the body might differ in those 2 different scenarios. In the one case, it's going to take an awful lot of activity on the part of the body to get the calories out of those big chunks, and not so much energy will be used to get the calories out of the really macerated carrot. Now, moving forward, once that carrot gets into the body, it's got to go into the obstacle course of our different digestive systems. One person might have a really efficient digestive system, and another person may not. So again, it doesn't take much to imagine that, let's say at two different extremes, you have a person who doesn't chew their food at all, goes in big chunks, and they have this really inefficient digestive system. They're not going to get all of those 50 calories out of that carrot. They're going to use an awful lot of those, a lot of energy trying to extract some portion of the energy out of that carrot. The person who chews it up really, really well, have a really efficient digestive system, is going to get far more of those calories, maybe all of them, but certainly many more than the person who didn't chew well and doesn't have a very efficient digestive system. Okay, so let's move on to the next scenario. Now let's say this carrot's been steamed, and it's been steamed pretty well. It's pretty soft. You can imagine that, let's take the person who doesn't chew very well and the person who does. They're probably, because it's already practically, it's already softened up, they're probably, despite their chewing differences, going to get that carrot pretty macerated. And by the time it enters the digestive system, it's pretty similar in both people. And it doesn't take much to imagine that the ability to extract similar amounts of calories will not be very different between the two people, even if their efficiency of their digestive systems are very different. They're going to get a much higher percentage of the 50 calories than if it were raw. Now, finally, let's move on to one last example, and that would be consuming the carrot as a juice. All the fiber's been taken out, it's just the sugars and the nutrients in a liquid format. And just to be clear, one carrot does not make a glass of juice. It makes a few tablespoons of juice, maybe a quarter cup. So just bear that in mind. But in any event, in that scenario, both people are probably going to extract with various nuances in the digestive system, the same amount of energy from the carrot, and it's probably going to be very near its maximum. So there's 3 different ways to consume a carrot, and 3 different outcomes or more that could be had, none of them delivering the exact same number of carrots. And this is why counting calories can be so tricky. One person's 1,200 calories per day, eaten in a raw or lightly cooked form, would not provide the same number of calories as another person who's getting it in juices. That's why my program doesn't count calories. And of course, if you are a calorie counter and you find it helpful, by all means do what works for you. If you have something that works for you, I don't care what it is, by all means do it, as long as it isn't something that's inherently unhealthy. Just know that in general, calories are not as precise as they're portrayed to be, and in fact, calories are a rather crude measure of the energy in food. I hope you found this information helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Until next time, I wish you an abundance of vibrant wellness. Bye for now.